Hi, Scott. ROCKFILE back with another podcast review. Going to talk about The Hunt for Red October in 4K. This is one of my favorite movies. It was one of my favorite books. I'm going to get into spoilers a little bit because I think everybody's seen this movie. It's highly regarded. $30 million budget went on to make $200 million at the time when movies like this didn't make that kind of money. And it's one of the 1, 2, 3 punch from John McTiernan, the dude who directed Die Hard, Predator, and The Hunt for Red October. His 3 best movies, and they're all arguably incredible. My mom got me into Tom Clancy movies when he first came out. She was early into Stephen King, early into some of the authors of the time. And when Tom Clancy came out and everybody was talking about The Hunt for Red October and how technical the books were, she didn't think she would get into it, but she loved it, passed them down to me. I read all the books, Clear and Present Danger, Patriot Games, all those books. I love Tom Clancy. John McTiernan, like his movies. This is probably my favorite submarine movie ever made. There's some great World War II movies. Run Silent, Run Deep is a favorite. Of newer movies, Hunter Killer is not terrible. But this is like one of those quintessential 5-star everything works movies. You had a young Alec Baldwin playing Jack Ryan. At the time, I didn't think he was a good Jack Ryan, but as a young Jack Ryan, he's not bad. Sean Connery, Scott Glenn, James Earl Jones, Sam Neill. It's a stacked cast. Even Rocky Horror's Tim Curry is in this. If you don't know the story, well, you should probably quit listening and go watch this movie. This is just a great movie. Basically, during the Cold War, the Russians come up with a sub that can go silent. The only reason you would build something like that is for a first strike, to be able to park a whole bunch of atomic warheads right off someone's coast and fire them without anybody knowing you were there. This all takes place in 1984. The movie came out in 90, so that this was kind of in the past, as it were, even when it came out. Probably for a lot of reasons, because I know that Tom Clancy was former Navy and consulted the Navy on his books and stuff. There's a lot of reality in how these things go, especially in his books. I think this is a good adaptation of the book. Like any adaptation, not everything from the book is in the movie, but as a movie goes, John McTiernan had some troubles later on in life, but you watch Predator, you watch Die Hard, you watch Hunt for Red October. These are quintessential movies. They are just action movies of the highest order, well made from top to bottom. Really good effects. Cinematography by Jan de Bont. Yeah, the guy that went on to direct Speed. It's 2 hours and 5 minutes long. It doesn't stop at all. There's a lot to squeeze in here. It's a lot of James Bond behind the scenes, kind of not so much James Bond spy stuff, but Cold War. Hey, we've got this, and now we found out this happened, and now this is going to happen, and oh goodness, the entire Russian fleet just hit the Atlantic, and there's a lot of tension that still works because of the way the movie is made, not because of the time that it came out. It's a great storyline. You get into the characters, and are the Americans going to understand what the Russians are trying to do? They're trying to defect, or are they? The music's by Basil Poledouris, the guy who did Conan and a bunch of other movies, and it's got that very bombastic, epic quality. The special effects were done with a lot of models. We didn't have a lot of computers back in 1990, so the special effects hold up. The submarines look like big behemoths in the deep, and it's murky, and as it should be. I think a lot of the older submarines movies are just way too clear. If you've ever been scuba diving, unless you're like in the Caribbean near Grand Cayman Island, it's a pretty murky, nasty thing down there. Anyway, long story short, I think everything about this movie works. I think it's one of Sean Connery's best roles. He's not Sean Connery in this. He is Marcus Ramius. He is the captain of this, an old-time submariner who lost his wife and not real happy with the things that are going on in the country and decides to do something. I think Alec Baldwin, when you watch the behind the scenes, and there's not a whole lot, and I'll get into how I got the 4K and what it looks like, not a whole lot of behind-the-scenes stuff, but he took it very seriously. A lot of the cast, including Sean Connery, Scott Glenn, James Earl Jones, they all had military experience. So they all kind of called on that when they played the roles. I think they all nailed it. So in 4K, this looks fantastic. I actually didn't expect much. A lot of older movies filmed on film look grainy and grungy, and no matter how we clean them up, they're still going to look that way, and that's how they should look. And this one doesn't look as grungy as it's always looked. Things are a little brighter. I went back and forth between the Blu-ray and the 4K, and it's startling. The Blu-ray looks like low res. The grain is a mess. It's kind of a swarm and such in certain places. And even just the title, the credits and stuff, everything is more stable, more tight and concise. Just the whole movie just looks and feels like the submarine that you're on. Like it's a tight running, well-oiled machine, where the Blu-ray kind of looked just like, well, like a film that had been thrown on a disc and nobody really cared what it looked like. There really was a night and day difference between what the Blu-ray looked like and sounded like. It's got a great soundtrack, too. It's lossless. It was all over the place. Felt like the water was over my head when I was in the sub. That I don't know if you've ever been deep, but that feeling of there's tons of water over your head. You kind of had that kind of whoa kind of sound going on in the room. But it never got too dynamic, so it obviously belies a little of its age that it doesn't sound like a modern soundtrack, but it did sound really great. Like I said, the soundtrack is very bombastic. Everything about the movie just works, and it's got those summer blockbuster feelings. There's a scene towards the end where they're not telling the Russians that got off the sub how they got them off or why they got them off, and they think their captain is going to fight the Americans, and something happens and they all cheer, but we all know what's really going on. And it's just one of those really rah-rah moments, and there's a lot of them in this movie. I give it 5 out of 5. I don't think anybody could watch The Hunt for Red October and not just walk away going, that was a really great movie. It's a great story, great acting from beginning to end. Crimson Tide is another one. I need to rewatch that one with Gene Hackman and Denzel Washington. Crimson Tide was a good one, but this is probably my favorite sub-movie of all time, The Hunt for Red October. It's a fantastic novel. Now, the 4K has been out for a while, and there is a box set that it looks like is now out of print. The box set have all the Jack Ryan movies, all 5 of them. The first 3 that were part of the quote-unquote original trilogy, and then the 2 that have Chris Pine and Ben Affleck in them. I would have probably not bought the 4K set. I was looking to get, I think there was a steelbook of The Hunt for Red October. I was just going to get that one. I mean, I like Patriot Games and Clear and Present Danger, but I would rewatch Hunt for Red October before I'd rewatch all of those. So a couple of months ago, in one of the 4K groups I'm in on Facebook, somebody announced that Walmart was getting that 5-movie box set, and there's over 10 discs in there. You get Blu-rays and 4Ks. Walmart was going to have it for like $31, $32. And I'm like, for 5 movies in 4K with the Blu-rays? That little? Really? So the week it was supposed to come out, I hit my local Walmart, and we had one. We had on the shelf, there was a whole row dedicated to it, but there was one in there. Well, I bought it, and they've never restocked that row and eventually took the row out. And I found out later that, pretty much every Walmart in the country got one. So if you knew it was there or you ran into it and bought it, you got a great deal. But now, if you try and buy that set on Amazon, I just looked it up the other day, it's like $65, $70 now, which is still, I mean, for 5 movies in 4K, that's still kind of a deal. But at $32, well, for me, that was worth the price of admission for Hunt for Red October, and the rest is a bonus. So I will be reviewing the other 4 Jack Ryan movies. I've already reviewed the Jack Ryan TV show on Amazon, at least the first couple of seasons. I need to finish that. But I'm going to rewatch all the movies now that I watched Hunt for Red October, because it was really a wonderful movie experience. If you haven't watched it in years, go back and rewatch it. It's a great film from top to bottom. Really well made. Can't wait to watch the rest of them. Scott, I'm ROCKFILE. More podcasts are on the way. Some more drone videos, too, so please subscribe to my YouTube channel and have a spectacular day.